Hi, my name is Mirko and we're traveling in Greece and the research of megalithic stones and polygonal walls. And we are here now at the ancient city of Cassope or Cassope, and we have beautiful things here to see. You see a lot of walls around here, but these are beautiful polygonal walls. Really nice, and they seem to be quite precise, but we'll get closer to make sure. Okay, as you can see, this is definitely a nice polygonal wall. It's not very tall, just to show you Deborah in front of it. It's 1.80 meters or something, but the joints are really precise. You can see those are still nicely preserved. Really amazing. So again, the city was allegedly founded sometime in 300-400 BC. That's the official version, but we may know better. The joints are really amazing here. Nice triangle. And you see just behind there's a whole structure inside of which are a lot more polygonal walls. You're gonna see them in a short while, and I just wanted to start from the outside since these seem to be quite spectacular. Stones are thick, I would guess 70 to 80 centimeters. It's one row wall, and you see all inside, all these small walls are all polygonal. Not really all, but most of them. And then there is this strange column area in the center. Here a mixture, some square blocks, but then it soon becomes polygonal again. Really nice. Also here the blocks are convex, not flat. Look at these joints here. It's not a high wall, it's maybe a meter high, but the blocks are really amazing. Just to give you a sense of scale. It's not huge blocks. So I just read the official version of what this place was supposed to be. You see all the strange rooms with polygonal walls. And it's supposed to have been a hotel. That's what modern academics believe this was. So these were nice people that could make a polygonal wall, a hostel, a hotel with polygonal walls. And by the way, I was saying before, the walls outside, like this one, are just one row. So there's no filling in between or whatever. It's just one row. And the nice thing is that they're polygonal both from the outside as well as from the inside. So it's not, the polygonal part is not just a facade that they made. This is very precise. Look at these joints. As I was saying, it's not just a facade, the polygonal part. It's a real polygonal wall on both sides. Here too we have very nice joints. So this is already quite a nice block. It's almost 1 cubic meter, so certainly more than a ton, probably more around 2. This is another quite big block, and of course there's whole parts missing on top. You can see here there was some kind of thing to join probably the upper block, and all these blocks have this. And then we have here these strange, like narrow and long columns, which have, they're actually hexagonal because they have 1, 2, 3, no, actually octagonal, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 8 sides. So really, and they're all like this. All these columns are like this. What is really quite strange are these corners. You see the corners are cut out like this. There's a wall dividing the corner. Again, a polygonal wall, of course. So I believe that this was not a hostel. This was something spiritual, religious. I mean, why would you make a hostel like this? Just because there's a lot of room, they believe it's a hostel. It looks probably more like a shape. You can see the overall shape only from above. Very interesting place. I haven't seen anything like that so far here in Greece. So always in the view that this was supposed to be a hotel or something for dignitaries, what would this small little tower here in the corner have been? And we want to make this little experiment just to show you. Okay, now I fixed this wall on this side. You can see the polygonal pattern. And now I keep it in the foreground in the video. I go on the other side. It's much better on this side. The joints are more nice. But anyway, it's the same pattern, so it's really polygonal on both sides. So here on this plate you can see the general shape of this structure of the so-called guest house of the ancient past. And anyway, one consideration about the concept of a guest house here is that if these people were capable of making a guest house with polygonal walls and all internal walls 70 to 80 centimeters thick just to make a guest house, they were nice people. So we're walking up this stairway and you can see other pieces of polygonal wall. Oh, we saw yesterday one like this exactly in Oeniades, sorry. This triangular going straight into another block. So of course here they won't say that there's any direct connection between the two sides. Actually the other side is about 150 kilometers south of here, southeast from here. And on this other side we have also some polygonal walls. So from here you can get the general idea of the structure, the patterns of this so-called guest house. So this is the city street of the old Cassope officially, and you see some small walls down there, nothing particular. But then from once in a while you see again a part of a polygonal wall popping up from the ground, partly covered in debris. So again, still walking around the ancient streets of Cassope, and we are again inside a house which again has a beautiful polygonal wall. And you can guess that other walls were like this before. So really nice people, these Cassopians, that just build their homes with polygonal bricks. I was wondering if I'd go to a mason and ask him, I would like to build my home with polygonal stones, no lighter than 500 kilos, about 70 to 80 centimeters thick. I wonder how much that would cost me. So we got here to the theater. It's a little bit uphill. And you can see even here, there's a little part of polygonal wall there. And then here again, so it looks like the borders of the theater were polygonal. Actually quite nice polygonal type. Then we have here, yeah, this looks like it was polygonal as well. It's not very tall. Then we have a part here, square blocks, but they seem most of them have been repaired, remade. And here in the theater, you see it's not in very good shape, but on top there we have another piece of polygonal wall. So Deborah dragged me to the top of the theater. And you can see here now very nice, very beautiful joints. There's thundering going on in the background. Really a passion for this kind of architecture. There's a passageway here to the backgrounds of the wall, probably polygonal as well. Of course it is polygonal as well. You can see this, we're now behind the theater, behind the top of the theater, and this has been dug out. You see they made some protection to keep other rubble from falling on the theater. We are still in the back of the theater, and you can see the polygonal wall goes on. And just to show you the size of this block, so this was the solution to protect the theater from the mountain back at least 2,500 years, and this is the solution today. Some metal, grid, and small rubble. So I am at another border of the theater, and you can see that this wall too was polygonal all the way down. So it's getting harder and harder to film since it's raining now quite heavily. But of course, if the whole city was built in polygonal masonry, then also we would expect that the outer wall was built in polygonal masonry, and that's the case here. You can see there's a nice piece of wall going down that way, which is all polygonal. We're gonna walk along it now for a little short part. And I remember that here we are watching the inside of the outer walls, and the funny thing is that the stones are much smaller than what we saw before in the so-called guest house. And here we have a so-called small arched gate. I think we're gonna go through it because the outer side should be more beautiful, but it's really not even a meter high. So you see how small this gate is, and even though it's so small, the stones are still polygonal here inside too. And the top is really nice, arched, and it's, yeah, well, a little bit over 2 meters long. I'll try to get through. Okay, this is the side of the size of the wall of the little arch. Here we have a polygonal corner, here many others really small. So here we see the small gate from the outside. It's really surprising that they made such a small little hole. And anyway, since I'm here on the outside of the wall, you can see the stones here get bigger, but not really huge. So that's where we came from. You can see parts of the wall, and here is the better preserved part, I believe. I'm gonna try to get closer. It's not really easy as there's a really tall vegetation here, but we may not be the first ones going there. The problem is that now everything is wet. Yeah, just to show you how many people come here. Maintenance of the site is very bad. Pathways are unclean, and there's a €3 entrance ticket. Okay, you can see quite a part here. See there, it's going up like that and turns all the way there. So this was supposed to be a tomb dated the 4th century BC, and it probably was a tomb. But as you can see, it's a completely different style than the polygonal walls we saw. These are mortared walls with some kind of frescoes or bas-relief on them. But unfortunately I cannot go in because there's a gate. So we are getting back to the central part of the site, and here again we can find a house or something like that with a real beautiful polygonal wall with really big stones. Look at this one. This is quite a big stone and beautiful joints. The weather just got a little bit better. It's not raining anymore. This is polygonal from the inside as well as from the outside. So we are again near the so-called guest house, and here there's still a part we can visit. You can see here again some polygonal walls. This is like an arrow, very strange shape. And there's a whole structure here with columns and some really huge bench-like blocks here, some of which are really big. Look at these ones. Look at that one. And here we have quite an alternation of polygonal stone blocks like those and more square type of blocks like these. This single block, I estimated its weight. It's about 2 meters wide by 1 meter high by 75 centimeters deep, and with an estimation of 2.5 tons per cubic meter. This thing is about 4 tons. And it's not the only one. This is maybe not as big, but still quite big. And the whole basement here where people sit is big. Some 10 or 15 tons put there like this to make some benches or something. So it's really all polygonal, and some of these are really big. So again, we haven't seen a stone this size on the outer walls. So why put small stones in the so-called protection area and then bigger stones in the living area? And it's weird again because these stones are quite worn out, whereas here we have a nice pedestal or something which is very nicely and precisely carved and still in very good conditions. And you can see, even if today is not the best day, but there was quite a view from here too. It's really a dominant position on a lot of kilometers away. One last view of the ancient site of Cassope, particularly suggestive today because now the fog is coming. So you can see here in the middle of the wood there is some structure. Not really nicely recognizable, but you can still see there's some kind of a square here. Huge blocks of stone. And this is supposed, at least on the map, it's named as the Temple of Aphrodite. You can barely recognize something here. But anyway, whatever it is, what I find interesting is that just nearby there is another polygonal wall. We are at about 500 meters from the site of Cassope. So, Aphrodite, classical Greek, and then a polygonal wall.